shooting day, and a lot of the players talked about the ability to work inside out. How do you see that affecting it before you second half?
Well, I think, like I said, with every game, there's different things that you need to try to take advantage of. And this is a game where I thought early in the game they really did a really good job taking Patrick Young away. We weren't able to really get the ball to him in a lot of space to operate because they were providing so much help. And what you give up is things on the perimeter. And it was a game where Patrick did get some stuff around the basket, going 6 for 6. But it was a game where I thought we moved and passed and shared the ball, except for a couple lapses in the middle of the first half and there late in the second half where we turned it over a few times. I thought we were really unselfish. I thought we moved and passed the basketball, and I thought we got really, really good looks throughout the course of most of the game. And I think this was a game where, coming out of the Georgia game where we started the game down 11-2, it's always tough digging yourself a hole like that on the road. And I was encouraged to see our guys come out with a better start. And then again, I thought we faltered a little bit in the middle of the first half. They went on a 7-0 run, but we kind of gathered ourselves and closed the half out real well. And then we started the second half, I thought, very, very well on both ends of the floor.
Just any feelings about the level this team is playing at now? 8 in a row. You guys haven't won 8 in a row since the beginning of 2009.
Yeah, I never really look at games in a row or things like that. I look at more the next game and where you need to improve, from the previous game. And as I said, coming out of the Georgia game, getting off to such a, I don't want to say a slow start, because Georgia certainly was the aggressor in the game and, probably had us back on our heels a little bit. And we go into the half down 3, and then we started the second half really, really well. So I think it's just about trying to get better and improve from one game to the next, and where you've got to work and where you've got to try to get better. And I thought we did a really good job, which we didn't do in the first half against Georgia, really moving the ball and passing. We did it against Georgia in the second half, but we did a much, much better job from start to finish in this game.
Is the next thing to kind of emphasize maybe then taking care of the ball a little bit, giving some velocity?
Well, I think anytime you go against a team that changed a lot of defense, they forced, quite a bit of turnovers. I thought we had a couple careless ones. Kenny got stripped at half court. Scotty got kind of poked from behind, and then he made a poor pass, and Boise kind of got stripped there at half court. Those to me were more a little bit of, those guys doing a good job, from behind, tipping the ball and, switching up defenses. And but when we took care of it, we got good shots. Is 14 turnovers too high? I'd like to see it a little bit lower, but I didn't think that we had segments where we were sloppy with the ball, but I wouldn't say we were sloppy for the whole game.
Jalen Steele had no points tonight. What was your kind of defensive approach to him?
Well, we wanted to put Boynton on him, and we wanted to put Scotty on Sword, because I think if you look at the 2 wins that they had, and certainly in Athens, when you got, I really think that Rick is doing a great job with his team, because the 3 freshmen that are playing the majority of the minutes, Sword, Thomas, and Ware, those guys are going to be really good players in this league. It's very, very difficult in our league, to come in and absorb as many minutes as they have to absorb. But the one guy that, to me, adds a different element to their team is Steele. And I think that's what happened in Athens. It's a pretty close game, and then probably about the 6 or 7 minute mark of the game, he kind of goes crazy and knocks down a couple threes, knocks down a couple baseline jumpers, and he was the one that really opened up the game for them in Athens. So I think Boynton understands him, just because Steele's been in the league for a few years, as has Boynton. I think he respects his capability to kind of go on runs. I think the biggest thing we tried to do with Steele was just try to make him play on the bounce, not really give him any shots where he could just catch it and shoot it, because I think when he does that, he's really deadly. And I think part of his production in years past has been, they've had such really good personnel and experienced personnel around him that, when you got Sidney and some of the other guys in years past and Bost, they can kind of find him. And, Steele maybe in years past is what Frazier is for us this year, where he kind of can knock down some threes when he gets open. But, he's one of those guys, to me, Steele, we really got to pay attention to him. Like, I give him credit with the way he plays the game. I don't know what Rick wants out of him from an offensive standpoint, but he doesn't force anything. And to me, that's a sign of a veteran player. Doesn't take bad shots. You know, when he's got it, he takes it. He looks like he's bought in. He's trying to do, it looks like, what Rick wants him to do. You know, because he's a junior and a good player, he's going to get a lot of attention from a lot of different teams.
You've been in the league, obviously, for a long time, but any words of encouragement or anything you talk to Rick Ray after a game like this in his first season when, you know, they've been struggling this much?
Well, listen, a couple of things. One is Rick Stansbury did a phenomenal job here for 14 years. I mean, he really did an incredible job. You know, back when he was here and it was divisional play, I mean, they were competing for a divisional championship every single year. They won SEC championships. He had great runs in the SEC tournament. Obviously, with Rick leaving, you know, Rick Ray comes in with obviously a lot to rebuild, so to speak. But I think the greatest compliment that I could give another coach is when you watch another team play to see how hard his kids play. His kids play really, really hard, and they lay it on the line. They're undermanned. They don't have a lot of depth, but they stay in games. You know, they have stayed in games. I know there's been some big margins of losses, but I think Rick, listen, when you're going through what he's going through, and I kind of went through it my first 2 years at Florida, you know, with 2 losing seasons in a row, he's got a really good nucleus with those young kids. Those young kids are going to be really, really good players, and they're taking maybe some lumps right now, being young, but they're going to end up being the nucleus and the core in terms of rebuilding the program back. And you know, when you watch them play, they're giving unbelievable effort. And a lot of times I think fans and people or people that are looking at their team have a tendency to just look at the result. Did you win? Did you lose? There's so much more to that these kids are learning right now in this process that they're going through. And they're all going to be better for it, and that's easy for me to say sitting here, but the worst thing to do and the worst thing to experience as a coach is when you feel like your guys aren't working, they're not committed, they're not giving great effort. And when you have a person that's, in my opinion, and Rick may look at it differently, I don't know, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but in my opinion, watching them play on film, they are doing and playing as hard as they can. You know, and when you have a lot of young guys, there's going to be some mistakes and things you get frustrated with. But overall, I think he's done a great job and will do a great job here as he continues to build the program.
Couple more questions?
Billy, Will McKinnon 9 assists again today, just his ability to see the floor and his growth. How's that?
Yeah, no, he's doing a good job. He's making good decisions. You know, we put him in some different situations where the floor was spaced and he got into the lane and he made the right plays. And I think anytime you have 9 assists, you know, you guys have got to put the ball in the basket. You know, you can have a great floor game and a great passing game, and if guys don't make shots, it doesn't reflect on the stat sheet. So part of him not having 9 assists was, one, he got guys shots, but guys also made some shots.
Anybody else?